Hit it.
Welcome, hello, and welcome to the Hispanic Patriot podcast, the weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret undisclosed location in the heart of the newest battleground state of Colorado. We are very proud to welcome our new subscribers and to announce Colorado as the newly opened front in the battle for the soul of our nation. Here we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. My name is Nicholas Razo, and without further ado, I present to you all our fearless patron, Hugo Chavez Rey. Give it up for the Hispanic Patriots.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another jam packed weekly show here at the Hispanic Patriot podcast. We hope everyone has had an enjoyable week since our last broadcast. Buckle up for another exciting ride. We are stacked tonight with some very interesting and hot topics, so we will dive right into this evening's agenda. Our first topic tonight is about the Colorado Republican Party and the rogue group that attempted to take over the party this past Saturday. There is a group led by Eli Bremer, who basically is going around all the talk shows and the media and announcing himself as the new chairman of the Colorado Republican Party.
Presumptive.
Well, presumptuous is putting it mildly. Mr. Bremer, let me just say this and unequivocally: you are not the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party. Dave Williams is the chairman, and that's who we support. And you're going to find that out this Saturday. So this is my rebuttal to Mr. Bremer and his merry gang who attempted to perpetrate a coup this past Saturday in Brighton. The meeting that was held on Saturday, August 24th, was illegitimate as determined by two professional and certified parliamentarians, one from the state GOP and one from the RNC. Furthermore, any business conducted at that meeting doesn't carry any weight of authority. Period. Stop. Whatever you want to say. There is nothing further. As a duly elected member of the State Central Committee, your intrepid host, I do not recognize any elected officials from the sham meeting where 77 disgruntled individuals showed up to perpetrate their fraud, carrying 104 questionable proxies from various parts of the state. In one comment I read on social media, the poster claimed that they had been in contact with the NRCC. And in case you don't know what that is, it's the National Republican Congressional Committee. And that they recognized the newly elected board of the Colorado GOP. I almost spit out my coffee when I first read it. For the record, the NRCC and the NRSC are both political PACs. Neither has any authority over any state party activities or any other Republican activities. Their job is to raise money for candidates and run campaign or help campaigns to get their candidates elected. I thought it hilarious when they're quoting the NRCC as recognizing them as the legitimate new board. It is only the RNC, the Republican National Committee, that has authority over party business. So let's get that out of the way, first of all. So, nothing that came from Todd Watkins, Nancy Pelosi, Eli Bremer, Britta Horn, or Kevin McCartney, to name a few of the coup leaders, means anything. They can bay at the moon, shout from the rooftops, give interviews to the press, or get on radio talk shows, and it means zilch, nada, nothing. We do not know that we do know that the dishonest media will carry their water for them because they just hate Republicans in general. So anything that harms the image of the party is just fine and dandy with them. Such as one of those clowns, Kyle Clark from Channel 9 News. On the print media side, there's Jimmy Sengenberger, Joy Overbeck, and some others who have duped into believing that this is a legitimate transfer of power. Nothing could be further from the truth. They simply haven't done their homework or don't understand how the party operates. Either way, they're out of the loop. At the meeting, they literally had to interpret Section D1 of Article 5 of the Colorado GOP bylaws to fit their false narrative before taking their vote. In that clause, it states that any elected officer of the CRC, that's the Colorado Republican Committee, may be removed from office at any time for whatever cause the CRC may deem sufficient by a vote of 3/5 of the entire membership of the CRC eligible to vote at a meeting called for that purpose. There are a little over 400 members of the CRC, so 77 people, even with their proxies, don't even approach a 3/5 majority. The question is about the proper application of this bylaw. Mr. John Fielding, attorney from Parker, basically broke down the bylaw, and they concluded, the committee did, that the proper interpretation of that bylaw is that it requires 3/5 of the entire Central Committee body, which would be roughly around 249, 248 votes to remove officers from their position. So basically, what we have here is a Mexican standoff situation, which can only be resolved with any finality by the RNC. They and they alone have the final jurisdiction, not a court, not a self appointed chairman or other alleged officers of the Colorado GOP. And that's my prediction. After this coming Saturday's meeting, which is still on, people, if you're a member of the state Central Committee, you are urged to attend this meeting, or if your schedule does not allow you to attend, please send your proxy through another person in your county. It has to be a registered Republican that resides in your county. You can send your proxy and your vote will be counted. So basically, after this coming Saturday's meeting, all party business will be handled, as was stated in The Godfather. So any edict by Eli Bremer that the meeting on the 31st has been canceled is false, period. All duly elected members of the Central Committee are hereby informed that they are to attend the only official meeting, again, as opined by two certified professional parliamentarians, on Saturday, August 31st in Castle Rock, as per the official call to the members. That is the bottom line. And, you see all these media outlets putting out these articles. GOP Chair Dave Williams voted out by party members in meeting he calls illegitimate. Yeah, you're darn right it was illegitimate. So here's one of the articles from the Colorado Public, I think it's, CPR, Public Radio.
Yep.
Members of the state Republican Party drove from across Colorado to a church in Brighton on Saturday morning, where they voted to remove state party chairman Dave Williams from his leadership position. They also voted to replace the party's vice chair and secretary. The vote was 161.66 votes to remove Williams, with 12 opposed. Some of those voting only get fractional votes. Only members of the state party Central Committee and their proxies were allowed to cast votes. The party members elected Eli Bremer as their interim chairman. Bremer, a former U.S. Senate candidate, and I should say failed U.S. Senate candidate, and El Paso County GOP chair, which, from what I hear in El Paso County, he wasn't very good, described himself as a temporary leader to get the party through the November election. Chairman Williams, the real one, dismissed the meeting as illegal, possibly setting up a legal showdown over the leadership of the party. It's the most tumultuous chapter yet in the endlessly controversial tenure of Williams, who took the helm in the state GOP in 2023 and has angered many in the party, let's just say a few in the party, for his hard right stances and willingness to attack other Republicans. No, he attacks RINOs. He doesn't attack Republicans.
I was like, this is kind of an attack on him. So it's like, if it's a matter of who shot first, I mean, is this really what, where we're at?
Of course. Well, Eli was on the radio first thing Monday morning, and I rebutted him, even though they cut me short. They didn't give me equal time. They gave him almost 30 minutes. They gave me about 7. So, that's how they roll when they don't agree with you. Before the removal vote, a series of speakers lambasted Williams for what they said was a lack of leadership and an unwillingness to work with others. Really? That's news to me. Several criticized him for his homophobic and transphobic messages. Let me remind the media that the Colorado Republican Party platform stands exactly with Chairman Williams. He said nothing that isn't in our platform. And nothing is hateful. It's just a position statement that states what we stand for and what we believe in. So many stood and applauded when a man spoke out against Williams for his call to burn all the pride flags. Another lie. He never called for that. Others said that Williams had simply failed to help Republicans win. Okay. So
because we're doing so well beforehand.
Yeah, this thing goes on. But I was at that meeting and sitting in the back and just kind of watching and chuckling at some of the bozos that were stepping up to the mic. I mean, it was a clown show all the way. And they acted like, oh, this is official. We're the new Colorado Republican Party. Okay, we'll see about that. So anyway, this is where we are, folks. The Republican Party is strong. The overwhelming majority of the Central Committee members support our chairman and our other officers. And this little cabal of clowns is not going to be able to take over. If after Saturday's meeting, there's still a duality, shall we say, the RNC will step in and basically rule, and that'll be the final ruling. So,
man, this reminds me of some times in Catholic medieval history where we had anti-popes and things like that. So it's people have to understand, if it can happen to the purest institution on earth, it can happen to the Colorado GOP. We're not the holiest here, but we're doing our best. And I just as someone from Chicago, someone from a much bluer state where things were so much worse, this just it first of all, it's going to turn off new people who are coming into the county and the state as general. I'm embarrassed personally because being from El Paso County, a lot of these RINOs, as you know, are from my county, unfortunately. And it's to be honest, I was at the meeting as well that was here in El Paso as a precinct leader, and basically what I saw was an attempt to discipline the ringleaders of this embarrassment, to be honest. And it turned into, through their supporters, a question of personality. It turned from, we need to discipline the people who are causing this schism, into, well, I don't like her, so we should keep the other guy, because it became very childish. I'm really sorry. Like, if anybody was there, I'm not saying anything personally. I'm just saying collectively, the defense of the vice chair was, in my view, almost entirely turning something professional and business into something personal. It was very sad to see, to be honest.
The thing that I've been seeing on social media is how literally uninformed some of the people are. Yeah. Either Republican members or even a few Central Committee members who basically think that this little coup this past Saturday is legitimate. And they cite things that absolutely have no basis in fact. And I can tell usually pretty quick that they're parroting what the cabal has put out there, because they're definitely not talking any factual information regarding.
Hugo, like they say, you tell a lie often enough and loud enough and, convincing enough, and the people believe it, especially when, there is a lot of difficulty that people have with the personality of Chairman Williams and other county chair people. And I say it like this is, when you're the hero, when that's the choice that you've made in life, you're going to face dragons who want to take you down. They see you as a threat. They see, I think, Dave Williams' hardline conservatism and willingness to discipline fellow party members as a threat. And so, like any dragon, they want to breathe fire at them. But really, it's as embarrassing. We got to have the daddy RNC come in and solve this little kerfuffle because some people won't back down because they believe that, well, okay, our party isn't doing anything. Well, one of the reasons our party isn't doing anything is because it's got to defend itself from situations like this. Whenever an organization gets big enough and strong enough, that's when the dissenters come out. It's not when things are going bad because, what do you have to fight over? Really, this is proof of the leadership of the GOP in this state that we have something to fight for, that we've actually placed Colorado in a battleground position. Nobody talks about that. Nobody gives credit to anybody that they don't like for that. It's very sad. Like I said, this is going to turn off a lot of people during this election at the wrong possible time. I mean, why didn't they just wait? Why didn't they wait to have a legitimate situation? Because let's say Eli wins. Let's say the RNC gives him everything he wants. Is this really the way you wanted to win it?
This coup basically dates back a long time.
Long time coming.
It started the day we elected Chairman Williams. I can tell you that for sure. Because Eli was one of the candidates for chairman at that time in that election, and he lost badly. He got rejected badly. So
poor him.
He's got a vendetta. So all I have to say is, where is Jack Nicholson when you need him? You can't handle the truth.
My goodness. Well, I mean, traitors never like the truth. You know what I mean? They hide in the shadows. Like I said, if everything ends up going their way, it will still not be enough for them. They'll know that they won this illegitimately, and it'll never feel safe to them. They'll be, in my opinion, I think if they win this situation, I don't think they will. You'll see petty little tyrants rise up who now feel vindicated. Whenever you try and fail to remove someone's fangs, they get sharper and they come after you. This is not the way at all to live, and we can't have people in charge who have that mentality. That's my perspective, especially as a youth and Hispanic Republican.
All right, so let's move on to Dave Williams' counterpart, President Donald J. Trump, who has now been indicted again by Jack Smith.
Maybe it'll work this time.
Oh my goodness, here we go. Let's listen to this little diatribe from Jack Smith and see what he's got to say. Let's hear you, Mr. Smith. Where are you? Okay, here we go. Well, that's not Jack Smith.
That's some words about Jack Smith.
Let's see here.
So it looks like they believe they found 2 indictments that fell through the cracks of all of this.
Yep. Well, I wish he'd fall through the cracks.
Well, with New York infrastructure run by the Democrats being what it is, that could be very well possible. This is just more projection and smoke screens.
Okay. I guess we don't have the sound on this one, but
that's okay.
That's okay. We can talk about what he said. He's basically what he's decided to do is file an updated federal election subversion indictment against President Trump. And of course, William Brennan, who is a former President Trump attorney, thinks that it was a slick move by Jack Smith. He filed a superseding indictment in the federal election case, accusing Trump of the same 4 felony counts that he was indicted on in August 2023. So basically, he's doing the same thing Fat Alvin Bragg did, in New York. Let's just take one charge and turn it into 32 felonies.
My goodness. Politics never ends, people. Even if you think you've scored a major victory, there's another fight coming around the corner. That's what you have to remember about politics. It's all about persistence. This is Donald Trump having to persist through lawfare because they don't want him to be president and they know they can't beat him the old-fashioned way.
Well, basically, this stems from the Supreme Court ruling of Trump's immunity, and so he's trying to get around that. But I don't think it's going to work. I don't care who thinks it's a smart move by Jack Smith. First of all, the guy's not a smart guy, so how can he do a smart move? Whether it will survive is unclear, but it's a really slick move, according to Brennan. Brennan said that Trump's current lawyers would likely argue that the new indictment was just a shined-up version of the previous indictment.
Which basically what it is.
Yeah, while predicting that Smith's failure or success would hinge on the latest document not clashing with the Supreme Court ruling. I think that the former president's lawyers, who are all very competent, will file a motion saying we've basically got the same old indictment shined up purportedly as something new. It really probably will come down to whether or not what's remaining in the superseding indictment is outside the perimeters of the Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. That's really where the rubber hits the road. So in response to a request for a comment, Trump's office pointed Newsweek to a series of Truth Social posts from the former president denouncing the new indictment and demanding that the case be dismissed on Tuesday. In an effort to resurrect the dead witch hunt in Washington, D.C., in an act of desperation and in order to save face, the illegally appointed special counsel, deranged Jack Smith, has brought a ridiculous new indictment against me, which has all the problems of the old indictment and should be dismissed immediately, Trump wrote. The whole case should be thrown out. So basically, I guess these people never learned their lesson. Every time they indicted Trump in the past, his poll numbers have shot up. So this is basically a backhanded attempt to interfere in the elections a little over 60 days out.
Yep.
Okay. So don't tell me that they came up with this all of a sudden. They held it till now.
This is not a eureka moment, people.
Because they see Kamala and Walz falling flat on their face, and they want to try to prop them up by detracting from Trump. So
amazing. We have illegal trials and indictments on the national sphere. We've got illegal meetings and illegal coups on the state sphere. This just shows this is the most important election of our lifetime. You've never seen anything like this. We've never seen anything like this on state levels, on county levels, on the presidential level. And they know, Hugo, I wonder, why can't they just beat us the old-fashioned way? Are we just too good? Are Republicans just offering too much to the American people?
That's not the Marxist way.
Fairness is not the Marxist way, no.
Let's just, I've stopped calling them the Democrat Party. They are not. They are the Marxist socialists. And if you want to throw Democrat at the end of that, that's fine. Marxist, socialist, Democrats. That's basically what we're dealing with now. This is not the Democrat Party. My parents, my grandparents. This is a totally new extreme left-led party that is run by basically communists. I mean,
we got to give a little bit of credit to the RINOs, though. They really are helping the Democrat Party more than they have in so many.
We're going to get to them in just a minute. But yeah, so basically that's your latest news coming out of the Trump indictments, and Jack Smith, the sleazebag, is now trying to prop up his failed indictment, and it's not going to work. I predict another bump in the polls for Trump.
I'm just surprised his name is Smith and not Daniels with the way he's acting.
Yeah. All right, now talking about the election, let's talk a little bit about the proof of citizenship voting bill that the Republicans are putting forth. There's a conservative-backed push for stricter proof of citizenship requirements for voting could complicate efforts to avert a government shutdown next month. So lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have acknowledged a stopgap of some kind, also known as a continuing resolution, will be necessary to keep the government funded past September 30th. I say shut the whole thing down. What the heck? But calls are growing among House conservatives to use that must-pass measure to force consideration of a partisan bill aimed at barring non-citizens from voting. What a concept. Why do we even have to have a bill to ban non-citizens from voting? It's in the dang Constitution, people.
Well, the Democrats keep cheating, so we need a way to stop them, I guess, and they don't like it.
So they're laying the groundwork for a clash with the Democratic-led Senate, which would likely reject such a package. You think? The hardline conservative House Freedom Caucus took an official position this month urging Speaker Mike Johnson to attach the measure dubbed the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility SAVE Act to spending legislation next month. Since then, the GOP conference's right flank has only ramped up public calls for the move, which has also seen some pickup in the upper chamber and among prominent figures such as tech mogul Elon Musk, as the party looks to seize on immigration as a key campaign issue ahead of November. So deciding which approach to take on spending will be one of the most important decisions Speaker Mike Johnson makes before the end of the year, with implications not only for government funding, but for whether he can keep the support he needs to lead the House GOP next year. So basically, he's not dismissed. Speaker Johnson has not dismissed the idea of attaching the SAVE Act as introduced by Representative Chip Roy of Texas, who is a strong conservative, by the way. I applaud Chip Roy, saying on a press call last week that discussions are ongoing to build consensus to come up with the final decision. Mr. Johnson, Speaker Johnson, if you're watching my show, don't give in to the Democrats, okay?
No.
Enough of consensus stuff. Stick to your guns, push the thing through, and if the Democrats in the Senate reject it, it's on them. They will be on record that says, oh, we don't want to say that illegals can't vote. Non-citizens can't vote.
We need to push this hard. We need to push this hard, honestly. Like, Mark Johnson was actually quite kind to me. We were able to meet for a short time. And I told him, the things I appreciated. And one of the things I mentioned was the tough line on immigration, especially in relation to Greg Lopez, who was in Congress and pushing a lot of this stuff with us, too.
So guess who's against this?
Oh, I wonder who.
No, in the Senate that has an R next to his name.
There's a couple names I could think of, but Hugo, you wanna lay it on?
Let's talk about Senator Mitch McConnell.
Oh, Turtle Man. He's going back in his shell.
He's been privately pushing against attaching the bill to a stopgap measure next month. So, Democrats are expected to push back, but we don't need, guy like Mitch McConnell jumping on this bandwagon now. So we'll see if maybe there's, maybe there's some Democrats in the Senate with the backbone. What do you think?
Well, I definitely think that it would honestly shore up their claim that they created the safest border ever. If they really did create the safest border ever, then what's the problem? What's the problem, Democrats? I wish the Republicans would kind of drop the game a little bit and just start playing real naive. It's like, what do you mean? Why don't you support it? Why don't you go up and defend your positions? That's one reason why they need to bring this bill to the House, up to the Senate. They need to do it because we need to force Democrats before November 5th to say, we want illegals voting. We do not want to make it illegal. We do not want to put laws in place. We are cheating. We need them to openly say it.
And even if you leave the illegal word out of there, non-citizen,
exactly. We don't even need to mention illegals.
Are not eligible to vote in federal elections.
What a concept for a Republican form of government.
Yeah, but this is where we are. they always want to play this little game, and now McConnell's jumping on the Democrat bandwagon and trying to say, let's not attach it to this
No.
budget bill. Let's make it something separate, because after they get their budget bill passed, they won't approve anything. So I say attach it.
I say too. And the one thing I want to say real quick is that I wish, just I really, really wish that Republicans would appreciate their tough guys. You know, we see this in the state. You know, if you're a tough guy, you're looked at suspicion. They try to remove you. You're a tough guy like Donald Trump. They try to get rid of you through every way to Sunday. You know, you're a tough guy in the Senate or the House, and you're pushed aside for people like Mitch McConnell. It's said that we don't reward tenacity in the Republican Party, but that is changing. We saw that with the VP pick J.D. Vance. We see this push that this is what we want for the Republican Party. And as a young guy, that's what I want for the Republican Party too.
But one other key point on this, though, we need to see if the Republican House is going to pass this through.
Yeah.
Because if some Republicans don't support this, then they will be targeted as well.
Right.
This should be 100. This should be a no-brainer. 100% of Republicans should vote for this in the House.
It helps us even if we don't pass it.
Exactly. But we need to show. But I also want to see, because it's saying here that there's a question as to whether it would get out of the House. And if it doesn't get out of the House, that means Republicans defected.
Yeah.
And I want to know who those Republicans are.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this plays out. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll come back to this.
Yep. Stick together, people. Don't fall apart now. That's the main message. A lot of these stories that we have.
All right. Here's a shocker headline. More than 200 Republicans / RINOs who worked for Bush, McCain, and Romney endorse Harris.
Oh, pure treason.
Oh, my goodness.
Unadulterated treason.
So hundreds of former staffers who worked for President George H.W. Bush, President George W. Bush, Senator John McCain, and Senator Mitt Romney have published an open letter asking fellow Republicans to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in November. What in the hell is wrong with these people?
So we got RFK endorsing Trump, and then the jobless wonders over here, the bitter jobless wonders endorsing Harris. That I never thought I could, lose a job so bad that I would try to, betray the country and the party in order for, we got a lot of Benedict Arnolds right now that are coming out of the woodworks this year.
My God, this is a group of more than 200 people warns that another 4 years of chaotic years of Donald Trump will
low gas prices, low housing prices, low grocery
real
prices. How chaotic.
People and weaker our sacred institutions. Yeah, but communism won't do anything, right?
Oh God, not our sacred institutions. We keep those up so good. We respect the Constitution so much already. No, Hugo, I'm as frustrated as you with this. This is absurd, and they're doing this at the worst possible time, and they know it. It's scummy. Let's be honest, it's scummy.
So here's what they write in this letter. Of course, we have plenty of honest ideological disagreements with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. That's to be expected. The alternative, however, is simply untenable, the Republicans write. They need to remove that word Republicans there and just say the communists right. This is a ridiculous position by so-called Republicans to take. So they're asking moderate Republicans and conservative independents in key swing states like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin to vote for leaders that will strive for consensus, not chaos. That will work to unite, not divide. That will make our country and our children proud. What the hell?
Our children love treason. You have to understand. Our children love it when we stab our old friends in the back.
So I'm waiting for the hammer and sickle T-shirts to be passed out in elementary schools, because that's the next step. These people are pathetic, man.
No, I wonder how many of them are just bitter. Again, I call them the jobless wonders because I think that they know they're not going to get jobs in the Trump administration. So what, do you think maybe they're begging for jobs for the Harris administration? You got to wonder about these people. Because I think you saw from the DNC, Hugo, that the Democrats almost want to act like they're the Republicans in this election cycle, that they're the ones promising low taxes and safe borders. They stole our rhetoric so much in the DNC, and now we've got these Republicans here. I don't believe that they really believe that Harris is a moderate. I think they know better. But it's all about this. They want their jobs back. They want their jobs back. The swamp got drained, and now they want the swamp back.
See, there's a humorous response from Steve Chung, who is a spokesperson for the Trump campaign. He said in a statement to NBC News that the letter was hilarious and claimed nobody knows who these people are.
I believe it.
They would rather see the country burned down than to see President Trump successfully return to the White House to make America great again, Chung said.
So they're not even real RINOs. They're proxy RINOs. You know what I mean? They can't even find real RINOs to like, we'll put up these 50 fake ones. That'll make it to 200. That's a nice round number. We only got about 14 real people here, but.
For the next show, I want to look up this letter and see the names of the 200. That's what I want to do. The 200 marched into oblivion and got smacked down by MAGA Nation.
Kind of like the 144 supposedly that we got here. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, none of this works, people. You either win the God honest way, or God will find a way to take it away from you. That is the truth. Y'all got to remember that. Hear it from here at Hispanic Patriot. You do things right, or God will make sure that they're done right.
So just so everybody knows, to the 200, we give you the Hispanic Patriot salute.
For those only listening, Hugo did absolutely nothing wrong there.
Absolutely. I just exercised my constitutional right.
There you go.
The First Amendment. All right. Let's jump over to RFK. And RFK, as you all know, has come out and endorsed President Trump. He has, in his speech, he said he was going to remain on the ballot in non-swing states and requests for his name to be removed from the ballot in swing states, but not so fast. Remember, all these Democrat states were falling all over themselves to try to block RFK from getting on the ballot.
Now take him off.
And now these same states are refusing to take him off the ballot.
I would call that election interference myself, but.
Well, that's it. So it says states keep denying RFK Jr.'s request to be removed from their ballots, which was key to his plan to help Trump win. So we have got basically, while announcing the suspension of his long shot presidential campaign, he was specifically asking to be removed from the ballot in about 10 swing states. So these states, I'm going to name a couple of them here. Michigan is fighting him on it. Basically said it was too late for Kennedy to withdraw as the nominee of the Natural Law Party in the state. Kennedy got on the ballot by convincing the small party to nominate him early, earning only 2 votes. Minor party candidates cannot withdraw, so his name will remain on the ballot in the November election, said Cherie Hardman, a spokesperson for Michigan's Secretary of State, a Democrat, said in a statement to the Detroit News. And then we've got Wisconsin voted 5-1 against removal on Tuesday, citing state law that says any person who files nominating papers and qualifies to appear on the ballot may not decline nomination. Colorado, notably less competitive for Trump than Michigan or Wisconsin, also denied Kennedy removal from the ballot. That's no shocker. We got a doozy of a Secretary of State here.
You all know that.
Yeah. And the Kennedy has succeeded in getting himself booted from the ballot in some important swing states, including Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania. He's also been removed from Florida, Ohio, and Texas ballots. So whether he can be removed from North Carolina's ballot is still unclear. And election officials in that state told the national desk that Kennedy's name was already printed on some ballots. Outside those states where he's trying to be removed, the Democrat turned independent turned Trump ally has still been encouraging his supporters to show up and vote for him in November. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to follow Business Insider on Microsoft. Yeah, we enjoyed hearing that the Democrats want to cheat some more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, so he can't get off the ballot. His nomination, he's pulling out just way too late. But Joe Biden can pull out of the Democrat Party before any primary have, RFK Jr. is perfectly fine with the third party option not being there this time. Whereas Joe Biden, was totally allowed to leave the race and select a totally new person without them receiving a single vote. But RFK Jr. can't get off the ballot. I mean, that's why I call this election interference. They know darn well what they are doing. RFK is probably going to tell supporters, hey, don't vote for me, vote for Trump. If it's a swing state, okay, you're not going to, if it's not a swing state, rather, you're not going to do too much damage. So that's fine. We want to see how much support they get. But, he knows what he wants at this point. He wants a healthy America. He knows that Trump's the only person who's going to provide it. And now the Democrats have decided, no, we're still going to try to get some of your spoiler vote. Because when you're winning by, 0.40%, 0.4%, 0.8%, RFKs, a couple RFK votes are going to matter. And they know that darn well. And so that's what we're seeing, like I said, throughout this entire election cycle is a series of unfair actions to give the Democrats unfair advantage in ways that go beyond the ballot box. They're cheating before they even get to the vote count. So make sure that your poll workers are trustworthy and watchful this year, because if they're doing this before the election, imagine what they're going to do in November, people. I mean, they're going to keep RFK on there. They're going to do all kinds of things.
We're gearing up for something for the inevitable October surprise. They've got something up their sleeve. We'll see.
Well, we got a lot of things up our sleeve, too.
The good thing about it is that this is in 2020. People aren't locked down and fearing wearing masks. This time around, people are going to show up. And this time around, he's got voters that he didn't have in 2020. And that's going to turn into a huge boost, I believe, for President Trump.
Including new waves of Hispanic voters on top of it.
Yep, waves. Hispanic, Black, Asian, young folks, the 18 to 24 stupid crowd. And
I love them. They're my favorite. Smartest people I've ever met.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to send a resounding message to Kamala, show them how stupid they really are, and vote for Trump.
Kamala.
All right, so we're about this coming Tuesday is a week before the much anticipated debate between
coming up fast
Kamala and President Trump. And so what has she been doing? She's preparing for the debate, and what they're doing is her staffers are trying behind the scenes to handpick who is going to be the questioners in this debate. So basically, the Kamala Harris campaign is finally preparing for a one-on-one interview with a prominent news outlet. A big question being discussed at Kamala headquarters: who will the interviewer be? So they're trying to stack the deck by they've got some names in here: Brian Fallon, the campaign's senior advisor for communications. And the communications director is Kirsten Allen. And so here's some of the people that they're considering: Stephanie Cutter, campaign chair Jen O'Malley, David Plouffe. So basically, they just want their own team to be the ones doing all the questioning. Almost everyone we talked to said Harris will consider race and gender in making her choice, and that she would be keen to sitting down with a Black and or female reporter, though nobody believes that's a requirement.
Sounds a bit racist to me, but okay. So you don't understand. I just can't talk to them if they're not black or a woman or something. You know, I just can't. Okay, we call that bigotry. We call that like antisocial behavior on levels that we would never even tolerate. You know, we're not sensitive in the Republican Party. We don't call things racism for no reason. We don't call things sexism for no reason. But if you legitimately can't handle a man who's not your race asking you questions, not your gender, not your, then you got a problem. I'm sorry. Like, you can't function. How is she going to function in the White House?
Yeah, how's she going to deal with Putin and Xi Jinping?
Well, yeah, there's some men, you know, some non-black men.
You know,
well, you know, maybe they have to dress up or something like that. You know, maybe they got to do those Russian masquerades. Putin's got to put on a dress, and then she'll be okay with it.
Or Maduro in Venezuela, and, you know. I mean,
you can see the problem here, people. You can see the long-term problem for our country if this woman can't handle people who aren't like her, you know?
Yeah, she can't. Again, where's Jack Nicholson?
I cannot wait for this debate, Hugo. I really can't wait. I want to see what happens. I mean, if the first one with Joe fell apart with him so bad, what's going to happen with Kamala if this is how she's telegraphing her preparedness?
Well, she tried to change the rules in midstream, and she lost that battle because she was wanting the mics to not be muted.
Yeah, she saw what happened in the last one.
She wanted. Well, she didn't want to be muted because she wanted to try to rattle Trump by interrupting him.
Be boss, girl.
Yeah. Okay. She thinks she's going to shake up Trump. She's got another thing coming.
Can't wait to see it.
This is going to be a doozy, and maybe we'll have something on that on the Hispanic Patriot.
Look out for that.
Yep. All right. So, speaking of Kamala, the word salads return. Kamala delivers strange remarks on nature of democracy at a Pennsylvania stop. While campaigning in Pennsylvania over the weekend, Kamala Harris, accompanied by running mate Tim Walz, who seems to be accompanying her everywhere. He can't go anywhere.
Bit of a handler at that point.
Yeah. Served up some fresh word salad about the upcoming election and the importance of our beautiful country. Okay. Here's what she said. Our election is about understanding the importance of this beautiful country of ours in terms of what we have as a country. And you know what else? It says, what it does is for people to protect and defend their rights, their liberty, and their freedom, incredibly strong and incredibly fragile. Okay. As a democracy, we know there's a duality to the nature of democracy. On the one hand, incredible strength when it is intact.
No kidding. When something is intact, it's strong, and when it's broken, it's not. I never thought about that before.
This is why they don't let Kamala speak without a script.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait for this debate. It's just, this is what she says when she has to think on her feet. I mean, with no stress, nobody pushing on her, no lights or, pressure. This is how well she does. Okay. All right. Now we know why, I don't know, Hugo, if you saw those videos by Project Veritas and James O'Keefe of how little confidence Democrat staffers actually have in her. I think this might be some of the reason why.
Yep. All right. So we're going to stay right here on Kamala. And CNN has come out. CNN's Smirkonish says Kamala's honeymoon is over. She's had a free ride. Will be held accountable eventually. Okay. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it from CNN. Let's see if we can get this one. We can play. It's a short diatribe here.
I think, honestly, her honeymoon ended at that terrible DNC speech, honestly. I mean, they had a lot of energy going into it, then she just popped the balloon on it completely. That's why I made the joke here, if the Democrats could just run Obama again, that's really what they would love to do. This is the closest thing they've got.
Yeah, that's not the one.
Okay. But yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Because
that's what Kamala is, honestly. She's kind of the combination of the worst parts of Obama and the worst parts of Hillary Clinton. I'll never forget the DNC when they said that we stand on the shoulders of Hillary Clinton. Is those really the shoulders you want to stand on? A little shaky. They fall over when you're getting in the cars sometimes, That's what they want. They want a return to the past. That's all they want. They want their glory days back. And to them, their glory days is a lost election and a failed double administration.
Okay, let's see if we can get this one played.
Of course, whether the Harris hurricane lasts is another thing. Kamala Harris is not indestructible. She has served as an undistinguished, nearly invisible vice president. There appears no accomplishment she can point to for her most important responsibility, addressing the origin of the border crisis. Second, she picked a nice guy from Minnesota in Tim Walz, but he might turn out to have as many warts as J.D. Vance. And I don't mean the allegation of stolen valor. He spoke sloppily in that instance, but I don't think there's much there. But the CNN K-File report of his congressional campaign deceit over his DWI is a real and embarrassing issue. As usual, the cover-up was worse than the crime. It's still too soon to know how much she might regret not picking Josh Shapiro. And third, thus far, Harris has had a free ride. She's not given any media interviews, hasn't faced voter questioning. When asked recently, she said that she would give an interview by the end of the month. She said that on August the 8th. No doubt she wants more time on the clock to prepare answers as to why she's flipped on health care, fracking, weed, and the death penalty, to name just a few. Sooner or later, she's going to be held accountable and face pressure that she has thus far largely avoided. Just yesterday, her first substantive economic policy proposal, it received mixed reviews. Bernie Sanders loved it. He called her idea a strong progressive agenda, but the Washington Post said that her proposals were gimmicks. CNN's analysis said that her plan could create more problems than it solves. You'd think that she'll enjoy another week of positive coverage amidst the DNC, which will feature 3 Democratic presidents, but with passions inflamed about Israel and Gaza, there is an air of unpredictability as to what will happen in Chicago. As I like to say, still to come, events we could never foresee and individuals whose names that today we don't even know. It all brings me to today's poll question at Smerconish.com. Between now and Election Day, who will make fewer big mistakes? Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? Join him in...
And that's the question of the day.
Kamala.
So her little house of cards is falling apart, especially when you hear that from CNN, you know she's in trouble.
Absolutely.
Because they're tired of getting the criticism for not basically hitting her with hard questions. But how can they? Because she won't do interviews.
No, she won't even give them an opportunity, even though they're favorable to her. And this just shows if this woman wins, I do think that we will be closer to World War III, because our adversaries will see that we're weak. The only way to prevent this is to elect Donald Trump. We know that everybody in the world views him as the strong American, the true American. That's how we keep peace in this country. Kamala will destroy it.
Yep. So from Kamala, we're going to jump over to her running mate, Tim Walz.
The Tim Walz and his dancing around the issues.
He's waltzing around. They called him not normal. CNN contributor Nuke's idea that that Tim Walz is normal. Is it normal to let the biggest city in your state burn? Let's see.
Not usually.
One of his friends told me this morning that his superpower is how normal he is.
Is he? I mean, I don't know. I don't know this guy. I mean, is it normal to let your biggest city in your state burn while you're the governor for 4 days, destroying thousands of businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage while you do nothing? Does that sound normal? Is it normal for your wife to say she opened the window so she could let the smell of tire fires waft in so they could take in the smells of this radical chaos and anarchy on the streets of Minneapolis? I don't view any of that as normal. I look at this through the lens of decision making. And in two cases, they've showed us who they are. Kamala Harris absolutely bowed down to the radical left in her party by not picking Shapiro, who is Jewish. There was a nasty campaign run against him. Everybody knows it. No one wants to admit it, but everybody knows it. And she wound up choosing the person who was not Jewish and not as talented and not from the state that she has to win. He did a nice job tonight. Everybody could see why he was the best choice, but she couldn't do it because the party is somewhat awash in anti-Semitism. And for Walz, when he did what he did during the riots, to me, it was him saying, I don't have the strength or the character to stand up to this anarchy. So in two big decision points for this ticket, they've showed us they will always bow down to the radical left. So I think if you want to talk about normal, to the normal people in this country, bowing down to the radical left is not normal. It shouldn't be normal, and it should be a flashing red light to the normies of America that this is not the ticket for you.
I love how he said normies. That was great.
I mean, come on. Hey, how about that? Back to back slapdowns from CNN.
That's where you know you've really, really screwed up as a Democrat.
One from Kamala and one for Tim Walz, the commie ticket.
One for each of them, And again, personality-wise, I could care less about Walz. He let his city burn to the ground. What do you want? Politically, he's weird and dangerous like he accuses us of being. I could care less about his personality. I could care what volleyball team is coached. I could care what war he got out of, We've seen how he governs. He governs by letting maniacs do whatever they want. That's why Kamala picked him. She's the maniac that he'll let do whatever she wants.
Yep. So now let's jump over to the cherry on top of the cake.
Yes.
And that is the anniversary of Afghanistan bombing that killed 13 service members. And guess who was the only one who showed up to pay his respects? President Donald J. Trump.
Yep.
The families of these fallen heroes have been at the heart of Donald Trump, and they have,
and all of ours too.
And they have and they have been basically very vocal about how neither Biden or Harris has even contacted them and didn't have the wherewithal to pay respects on this day. And that right there should be plastered everywhere, all over, wherever people can,
wherever you can get the message out.
Get the message out. This is a picture of Donald Trump at Arlington National Cemetery.
Honorable.
Paying respect. And all the family members were there, so they thanked it. But old Joe is lying on the beach somewhere, and Kamala couldn't be bothered to pay respects to the military she claims to love. Give me a break.
Yeah, really.
These people are communists. She said in her speech, what did she say? She wants to build the most lethal military ever. Well, what she's talking about is a communist.
Yeah, lethal for who?
Yeah, exactly. What she's talking about is a communist military where they can control the people. Well, guess what? Go ahead and come for my guns.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
We Hispanics know a little thing or two about defending ourselves from communist militaries, and just one thing real quick. We need to prevent another Vietnam syndrome for Afghan war veterans. They cannot be allowed to believe that they failed. Their commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, failed them. They did everything right with them and their Afghan allies. I lived with some Afghan translators. They said, one day we will take our country back. We showed those old men in their mountains that we can run the country, and one day we will again. That's the resolve of American allies. American enemies are cowards, and so are the Democrats who imbued everything that is wrong with this country in their foreign policy. We remember the Afghan war veterans, and we salute every single one of you.
Absolutely. All right, so we've come to the end of our show for tonight. This has been a rock-ribbed show. Jam-packed for topics important to you people out there. So we thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our show, and show us some love. Send us a donation on our website. Always be watching for us on other activities that we're going to be putting out in shorts and other throughout this election season. Labor Day is around the corner. We want everyone to enjoy their Labor Day, but following Labor Day, we've got to hit the ground running.
You're ready to work after Labor Day, people.
Get this campaign, bring it home, and let's elect Donald J. Trump, the 47th president of the United States.
And fight for it.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in.